Michael Wolff, again, over from his Instagram account, he's pointing out some things and some background information that we may not have known specifically regarding this whole thing about attacking Venezuela. Here's Michael Wolff. This is crazy.
About an hour after Trump's news conference on Venezuela, one of his aides said to me mordantly, "Well, most of us were surprised by his language." Let me interpret that. Everybody, including the men standing behind him, was stupefied that in an utterance, the United States had gone from a successful military action to running a country of 30 million for the indefinite future.
Wait a second. Michael Wolff is saying that whole announcement that Donald Trump had where he's talking about we're going to run Venezuela now that we've invaded, attacked, and taken Maduro and his wife out of the country. And then that whole thing about taking over was on the fly, that he was just spouting it off the top of his head. Like, who would do something like that? He also said that people behind him, not only those aides that spoke to him, were stupefied. Look at stupid face Marco Rubio just behind Donald Trump. Is it stupefied or is it stupid? Here's that moment that Michael Wolff was talking about.
Are you saying that Secretary Hegseth and Rubio are going to be running Venezuela, and will you be sending in U.S. military troops to provide?
Team that's working with the people of Venezuela to make sure that we have Venezuela right. Because for us to just leave, who's going to take over? I mean, there is nobody to take over. You have a vice president who's been appointed by Maduro, and right now she's the vice president, and she's, I guess, the president. She was sworn as president just a little while ago. She had a long conversation with Marco, and she said, we'll do whatever you need. I think she was quite gracious, but she really doesn't have a choice. We're going to have this done right. We're not going to just do this with Maduro, then leave like everybody else, leave and say, let it go to hell. If we just left, it has zero chance of ever coming back. We'll run it properly. We'll run it professionally. We'll have the greatest oil companies in the world go in and invest billions and billions of dollars and take out money, use that money in Venezuela. And the biggest beneficiary are going to be the people of Venezuela.
Nothing's better than watching the people standing behind Donald Trump that are startled by the things that he's saying that include them. In fact, directly in this case, it included Marco Rubio because, he's part of this whole team of people that are supposed to go in and run Venezuela just like the same day or the day after they went and attacked. And Rubio standing there is probably contemplating, man, was my soul worth the amount that I sold it for? Damn, he just said, we're going to run Venezuela. So that was on Saturday. The next day, I guess this is the reason why Marco Rubio took to all of the, the Sunday shows to try and explain this, to try and push back on it. Because he's like, hold on. That 79-year-old crackpot said that I'm going to be running Venezuela. What the fuck is he talking about?
Who is in charge? Are you running Venezuela right now?
Yeah, I mean, I keep people, fixating on that. Here's the bottom line on it is we expect to see changes in Venezuela. Changes of all kinds, long-term, short-term. We'd love to see all kinds of changes. But the most immediate changes are the ones that are in the national interest of the United States. That's why we're involved here, because of how it applies and has a direct impact on the United States. Okay, we are not going to be able to allow in our hemisphere a country that becomes a crossroads for the activities of all of our adversaries around the world. We just can't allow it. We can't have a country where the people in charge of its military and in charge of its police department are openly cooperating with drug trafficking organizations. We're not going to allow that. These things are direct threats to the United States, and we intend to use every element of leverage that we have to ensure that changes.
I don't know why you guys are fixating on the whole point that the president made about running another country that we just illegally invaded and attacked and killed like 100 people and then took the leader out along with his wife. Why are you guys fixated on that so much? Just because he said we're running the country and he included my name in that, calm down. That was on Sunday. Sunday, I guess, in the morning, because he was doing those Sunday shows. And then, despite all of that work that Marco Rubio tried to pull off, to push and maybe distance himself from that, not fixate on it so much, Sunday night, that same madman president that everyone is afraid of, even though he doesn't know what the hell he's doing, the same day, this is what he went and said on Air Force One.
Did you speak with them before the operation took place?
Yes.
Did you maybe tip them off?
Before and after. And they want to go in, and they're going to do a great job for the people of Venezuela. And they're going to represent us well.
He's talking about the oil companies. So because the reasons why he wants to control all this, he bypassed anything anyone could possibly think of how this might work. And he was just hell-bent on talking about how he's got control of these oil companies. And the oil company's going to come in and do this. Man, he keeps burying these guys over and over again. So back to Michael Wolff. Because it was that what we heard was only the first half of what he's talking about of these revelations. Those oil companies that Donald Trump said are going to run this beautifully. Everybody's going to run it, I guess.
Our commitment to Venezuela occurred somewhere between a moment of grandiosity and dementia. Now, of course, none of this makes any sense. There is no plan. If there were a plan, that would require Congress to commit hundreds upon hundreds upon hundreds of billions of dollars to this effort, which they are not going to do. What's more, the idea that oil will support this presupposes that American oil companies, conservative corporations, will commit their futures to an existential political abyss, a completely unstable situation.
I've been hearing things about that lately. I've been hearing things about how much of a quagmire this would be for anyone to get involved and invest the way that Donald Trump is saying that all of these oil companies will be investing into clearing up and refining and changing the way that things are done with Venezuela's oil that then he says is his and his only. But Michael Wolff made sure that we maybe saw that other aspect of it. And I'm going to get to much more of that later. But here's a bit from a Politico article that I think states it even more clearly. Said administration officials have told oil executives in recent weeks that if they want compensation for their rigs, pipelines, and other seized property, then they should be prepared to go back into Venezuela now and invest heavily in reviving its shattered petroleum industry. That's what two people familiar with the administration's outreach said to Politico. The outlook for Venezuela's shattered oil infrastructure is one of the major questions following that invasion. But people in the industry said that the administration's message has left them still leery about the difficulty of rebuilding decayed oil fields in a country where it's not even clear who will lead the country for this foreseeable future. Well, Donald Trump said that Marco Rubio is leading the country for the foreseeable future. What are you talking about? All that's very clear. Why would that be a problem? We're seeing the reality. Michael Wolff pointed out he's been right on a lot of these things because he speaks to people behind the scenes. He's an author and a writer. And also, as from that Politico article that pointed out, people that spoke with him said, hell no, why would we do something like that? That doesn't stop old Donnie.
Well, it's largely going to be for a period of time, the people that are standing right behind me. We're going to be running. Venezuela has a lot of bad people in there, a lot of bad people that shouldn't be leading. We're not going to take a chance that one of those people take over for Maduro. So you can look at, and others, we have fantastic people, including people in the military. So we're going to have a group of people running it until such time as it can be put back on track, make a lot of money for the people, and give people a great way of life, and also reimbursement for people in our country that were forced out of Venezuela.
He's got grand plans. He's the number one person in this country who speaks so forcefully, so definitively about his opinions, his thoughts of how things will work, and none of it has ever worked. He's never done anything right, but he's so confident in his ability to do something right, even though he doesn't know what the hell he's doing regarding anything. He goes there and confidently overthrows everything anyone else is saying and just keeps saying it. I got the oil companies, bro. I got Marco Rubio. I got everybody ready to run this joint. And it's going to be so easy and seamless because he says that because he doesn't know anything. Like, he didn't consult with anybody. He didn't ask any questions. He didn't check with any kinds of like experts. He didn't check with anybody who knows anything about the oil industry, nothing about Venezuela's oil, the kind of oil they've got, the kind of refineries they've got, how much money it would take, how long it would go, security, none of that stuff. None of it. He knows nothing. Is the other half of Marco Rubio trying to run away from that.
But Mr. Secretary, I think there's a lot of questions about who the point people are during this transition. President Trump said we're going to run the country. So is it you? Is it Secretary Hegseth? Who are those people who will be running the country specifically?
Well, it's not running, it's running policy. The policy with regards to this. We want Venezuela to move in a certain direction because not only do we think it's good for the people of Venezuela, it's in our national interest. It either touches on something that's a threat to our national security or touches on something that's either beneficial or harmful.
And are you involved in that transition,
so obviously
Secretary?
I'm very involved in this. Well, of course. I mean, I think everyone knows I'm pretty involved on politics in this hemisphere. Obviously, as Secretary of State and National Security Advisor, very involved in all these elements.
He's trying to toe that line. I can't tell them that Donnie's wrong, but I also don't want anything to do with this. You see the separation? We're not going to run Venezuela. We're going to run the policy. I feel like Marco Rubio thought he had distanced himself. I feel like he thought, man, at least maybe I feel like the policy line was really good. They're going to say we're just running policy, and Donald Trump was just a little bit off. If it couldn't be put in any more explicit terms, what Donald Trump meant when he said that Marco Rubio and crew will be running Venezuela, he made sure to say it again. This is again after Marco did, clean up on aisle 4.
Don't ask me who's in charge because I'll give you an answer and it'll be very controversial.
What does that mean?
It means we're in charge.
Have you spoken with her?
We're in charge.
Have you spoken with her?
No, I haven't, but other people have.
Do you want to?
Yeah, at the right time, I will.
He knows it's a bad answer. I'm going to tell you something really controversial. If you keep asking me this, we're in charge. He's like a 4-year-old. I'm sorry, 3-year-old. We're in charge. We're in charge. The weakness that's on display from this country, from its quote unquote leaders, their elected officials, people put in very important cabinet positions, people who run agencies, the extreme weakness that these folks are illustrating every day as this guy runs roughshod over all norms, all law and order, the Constitution, the American people, our tax dollars, as this guy runs through and destroys everything in his wake because he's now got zero guardrails. He's always been this way. Is because they're weak. They're extraordinarily weak. Marco Rubio is weak. They're all afraid and tired. And this guy's running roughshod right through him because they're like, he must be popular, right? People are waking up and the clown show is being exposed. I mean, to the people who somehow didn't see it coming after his first administration. During his first administration. When he first rolled down that escalator and started talking all that xenophobic, racist, everyone knew who this guy was, except for people like Marco Rubio, or people like Marco Rubio who don't mind selling themselves out to this guy. It's a damn shame.